Is there anything from the public?
Oh, nothing?
Okay, Joe.
Okay.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Chairman Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Roby.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the board to sign resolution 40-2020.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
All right.
Joe, you wanna make any comments on that? Okay.
Any discussion? Okay, we do roll call on this one too?
Yep.
Okay, roll call.
Chairman Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Roby.
Yes.
Bill.
Aye.
For any, just a second, I've got the conference muted, so I probably won't unmute that until Paul is ready to speak.
Okay.
Then this, B one,
Discussion decision to approve application historic property rehabilitation tax
Right.
exemption.
we did the resolution, then we need to do this too?
The resolution is just that you are setting a priority for different,
Okay,
just in general.
okay,
you
so
have to
we
specifically
should probably done that the
approve
first,
this one.
okay, I'm with you, for the first of the year, done that resolution.
So we just need a,
I'll make that motion for you.
okay.
Second,
Any discussion?
that's for the actual entities that are asking for the,
Correct.
okay.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, next, let's go ahead and unmute it, please. We got Paula Hazelwood, Executive Director of Advanced Southwest Iowa Corporation. Discussion decision on funding request for the Applicam Incorporated project. Paula, do you want to go ahead and kind of explain what you got going on?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So Advanced Southwest Iowa has been working with a company called Applicam for probably the last 6 weeks. We have walked them through the process of the state incentive programs, and the state of Iowa has come back and informed us that Applicam is an eligible business to locate to the city of Council Bluffs. And because of the incentive program they're utilizing, which is called Targeted Jobs, typically the city of Council Bluffs has to, well, they still have to support the project as a sponsor, but typically they also provide the match component to the project in the form of property tax abatement. So we've run into a little bit of a complication with this project because the applicant is looking to lease 16,000 square foot of space on the east end of the former Bingo King building, which is the building that Rasmussen Mechanical acquired 2 years ago to completely renovate and put their corporate headquarters into, which they have done. But Rasmussen Mechanical already has a targeted jobs application attached to that particular facility. And so the city is not able to utilize the normal match component that they would because there's already a property tax abatement attached to that parcel. So I talked to Tim about it last week and wanted to come to the County Board of Supervisors to hopefully get your approval to be the match support for this project. It is about a $730,000 investment. 16 new full-time equivalent positions at an average wage of $33 per hour plus benefits.
What was the?
And if you're not, the investment amount is right at about $730,000.
No. How much would we need to match? 25,000?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. And the way that the program works is this would go in front of the full Iowa Economic Development Board at their April meeting, which is the third Friday in April, for review and approval. And we would not do anything until that approval obviously comes through. But this is spread out. The $25,000 is spread out over the course of 5 years. and the state is committing $75,000 to the project. Now, keep in mind that all of these incentive projects or incentive programs are performance-based. So the company has to make their investment. They have to onboard the 16 employees before they have access to any of the funding.
So is that true of the match dollars too then?
Yes, absolutely. So what I'm proposing is that, so Advanced Southwest Iowa Corp., we already have a project fund set up. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just,
No, it's
Sometimes.
complaint.
Okay,
it's really loud.
I turn it down.
okay, I'm sorry.
You're fine. We're just,
Okay,
you just
So-
continue.
okay. We have a project fund already set up, and my request would be that if Iowa Economic Development approves the project, as submitted on the third Friday of April, that the $25,000 match component, we accept those funds, we deposit it into our project, which would be allocated directly to Alachem, and we would not distribute those funds until Iowa Economic Development on a yearly basis gives us the okay that they've met their performance measures.
Cool.
So are we looking for any funds? Is it coming out of her funds or is she looking for funds from us?
Funds from the county that would be dispersed over a 5-year
She
period.
wants them from us.
Yes.
So I would make a motion that they come out of the, what's it called, the Potawatomi County Impact Fund? Is that what you got, Matt? Is that what it's labeled?
I don't know that you're gonna be able to utilize that for that because it has to be, rural in nature.
It has to be
It has to
rural.
benefit rural in nature.
The way we set the fund up?
No, that's because of where those funds came from. When we originally looked back through
They
that,
came from permit fees.
it did come from permit fees for rural, on the rural line item, rural tax base.
So we're not only gonna be able to do those only in the rural area that money's.
Not inside city limits, Council Bluffs, correct?
Well, none of the other communities, they're all cities, right? So it has to be outside their cities? Why is city council different than city Crescent or?
Agreed, I think it has to be able to show that it's benefiting the rural part of Potawatomi County.
Well, I don't know where these people are gonna live, they might be getting benefited, the rural.
Correct, I feel that way, but I think it's just a discussion that we have to have of how do you word that, so that way we show.
Well,
that
I didn't know we were having a wordsmith deal with that, I thought it was open to the whole county is the county.
No, we talked about that through the whole setup of that, that it was only gonna be able to utilize for that,
For rural,
yes.
so how do we define rural then?
Unincorporated, I guess.
Yeah. So we're gonna need to probably go back and have a discussion with that. So where's the 25 gonna come from then? You gonna take it out of gaming?
Did you,
I was gonna
Yes.
make a motion.
yes,
Okay, 25 out of gaming.
second.
Okay, any other discussion?
That's over a 5-year period.
Yeah, so we're just doing 5,000 a year or 25,000 and then?
Well, we won't
what
do
we will
anything
do is
until it-
We'll provide the $25,000 to the special project fund in Advanced Southwest Iowa. If the company meets their, requirements for the state grant, every year, they'll get, 20% of it, or $5,000 a year.
Okay,
I-
so if they don't meet the requirements, then are we getting the money back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Well, and if they don't,
Yes,
if they don't come, we won't.
yeah, no, I just
Yeah.
meant, you know, if they get through 2 years and then 3, 4, 5, they don't, we get our 15,000 back.
I think if you get
Right.
a company to make an investment to come to Potawatomi County or Council Bluffs, and they have those economic development dollars available to them, I would like to think that, the vast majority of those companies aren't gonna be here for a couple of years and leave, so. But you're correct. If they don't perform, they don't receive the funds.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Paula.
thank you so much, I really appreciate it.
Okay. I guess Melvin, you mind muting the line again, then Next on the agenda, we have Matt Wyant, Director of Planning and Development, discussion or decision to approve, authorize the chairman to sign agreement with Development Strategies to conduct the Potawatomi County for sale workforce housing strategy plan. Matt, do you want to help us out with this one?
This is the housing study that, we talked about earlier this year. It was the same group of individuals that the Sherwood Foundation hired to do the housing study. That's, included the city limits of Council Bluffs and, Omaha, Douglas County. Matt Hincus and I reached out, through his contacts at the Sherwood Foundation to that company and asked them what their interest would be on extending that housing study out across Potawatomi County. We then went to the cities group and talked with the people at the cities meeting to find out what their interests would be on having a housing study like that conducted for their community and in our area. They expressed a lot of support towards it, and so Matt and I continued our conversations with that group on the housing study, and they submitted to us that proposal, which would be, I think the total, Pam has more of the details on
The community.
Yeah, no, on the proposal itself. The proposal itself, cost is gonna be, I originally came in and asked Board of Supervisors to approve up to $40,000 in expense for this, with iOS covering the other half of it. The proposal came in at,
65,000.
65,000 plus 5,000 for other expenses, so we're right at 70,000. So iOS approved their $35,000 of an expense for that. So we're just asking to approve the signature on this agreement, so that way the group can get started. And we have had discussions with them too about how do we continue forward with COVID-19 ongoing in the community, and there are parts that they can do right now remotely. But this agreement, in the agreement, it talks about how they're gonna hold community meetings in each side of each community and things like that, and those will obviously be put on hold here for a little bit. So while we hope to have it back by, November-ish, December timeframe, I'm sure our timeframe is probably gonna be pushed a bit further, possibly to, I'd say, February, before we have to see a final product.
Does the 35,000 for the other half would be the county's half? Is that in your budget already, or are you asking? Me to
That
get
came
from
out of
us?
we had appropriated that out of the impact fund a while back.
Okay, so we're already good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second, Matt, is that gonna run
Okay.
concurrent with the
Discussion.
city council bus?
He's quick.
Their housing study,
Yeah.
their housing study already started.
Okay.
We're playing catch up a little bit, but they're gonna be able to utilize some of the components of what the information they gathered through the Omaha Council Bluffs study, they'll pull into this study.
Okay.
Thanks for your work on that, Matt.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, this next one, and forgive my not knowing this answer, but the next one's to approve out-of-class pay for COVID-19 for Pam Calstrip from zoning and land use coordinator to acting planning director, not to include public health. So I have a little bit of question with this one, like why is out-of-class pay a decision the board has to make? Isn't that something normally departments handle? Why wouldn't a department head handle that?
So typically it just goes on, it would go on the top of the agenda, under consent agenda, typically that's where it goes. But I think this one, Melissa felt that because now we're talking about taking over some director responsibilities, now we're not talking about all director responsibilities. Matt and I have discussed this, but she felt that it needed to go on the agenda.
So is this, when it says the word acting director, then Pam's gonna act as the director until, end of this, incident that we're in?
This was not the language, I don't care for the language that was put in here. Pam is not acting as the planning director in those capacities. What she's doing is she's working above her pay grade by taking the lead on the
Right.
housing study and the TIF projects and things like that. But she's still coordinating that back to me so I can sign off on the final decisions
Right.
and things. But,
So is it still based on the incident?
correct.
So when the incident is over, then she's gonna go back to the
A regular wage.
3708 or whatever, is that
Zoning
right?
land use coordinator, yes.
Okay,
And the reason that, after speaking with payroll, Jenna said there has to be a different title on there, because when the state auditor comes in and takes a look and says, wait, this employee's pay went up, and it's out of cycle pay increase, why did this employee's pay go up? They'll go back to this form, and she said we have to have a title on there that justifies the pay.
that's fine, we should be able to put an asterisk on there and say due to the COVID-19 incident and life should go on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I'm just, I mean,
Yeah.
Does that happen when, people work outside their job class in the roads department or the sheriff's department?
Getting out of class?
Yes.
Yes, if they
So
work out of class.
So why
for
are we,
longer.
why are we making a,
Those would be unions. This isn't union.
oh, that could be why.
She's working directly for us. So I'll make that motion.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, the only discussion I would have, that this seems to me something that should be in the consent agenda. I have full faith and trust in my department heads, and I believe that they can manage this, and we don't need to have this be something we bring up. So, anyway, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Okay. Next one, and I don't know if the wording on this one's correct either, so if it's not, we may have to figure this out. But the next one is the approved employment due to COVID-19 of William Skylar Dooley as a temporary EOC specialist. I guess maybe I'll just start with Matt. I guess, can you explain what exactly what we're doing with Dooley, what your intent was, I guess, and then we can kind of, we'll go
My
into.
intent is, and we came to these, this is not something that is just constantly coming from me. We brought in Garfield Coleman in to help out with the COVID response aspect of this and working with the EOC and as the activations fired up. Garfield kind of was saw what we were kind of up against. We brought Nick in from the VA department too to help out. Both of these department head individuals are extremely versed in emergency operations and how to best run these efforts. And on the public health side of things, while we've drilled and we've gone through these different items, having the experience in there to help back us up on this, it was just another part of that. Skylar came in to where we needed somebody who was experienced in the EOC aspect of being able to be down there, communicate back with us as we were working through our structure that we were putting into place, all of the different components and plans that go with that structure that Nick and Garfield, I, and the other staff were working on to be able to push that information through down to the EOC, because the EOC had gone into a full activation where they had people sitting down there. And so we need to be able to have somebody down in there and then be able to communicate back to us and take our communications back to them at the same time while we were organizing and pushing all these different, because it's not only our plans that we were developing, we're also working with the health centers and everybody else to build up and help them with their plans. On the normal side of emergency operations, when you're dealing with these different events, whether it be like a flood or a weather event, you're dealing with government operations and just helping them put their plans into actions and move forward. This public health event is quite a bit different in the fact of, yes, we are dealing with the government side of our plans and what we have to do to get them into effect, but then you're also dealing with nonprofits, helping them with their plans, helping ensure that they have the funding and pushing them forward to enact their plans. Same thing with the for-profit side. We're also dealing with the for-profit side of things. So you will see a bit of a buildup with the public health department as we go through this event, because we are going to need more people in to help us with these different positions. At the same time, though, the reason why it's temporary is because at the end of this event, all the positions are going to drop back down. This is not like a buildup of a department to where we're running 40, 50 people in it, and then that's what you're gonna see out of your health department from here on out. It's a build-up, just like much they would do in the military, where you build up a unit and then you downsize the unit at the end, and that's what these people would be downsized and moved away, but.
So I guess what I'm curious, is this person a contract consultant? Are they a temporary employee? If they are a temporary employee, is there language in this whole event that would allow, I guess, I think that's where some of the confusion is right now, and I, you know, Scott, you can chime in, we've had
Well,
some discussion about it too.
I just don't know, are his wages then goes on our unemployment insurance and how all that goes down? Why can't he be a contract employee and us get down the road and for his services? Apparently he's got the background and the specialty to do that. And if that's what how, is it 40 hours a week or what? This doesn't give a lot of information this here.
So when we look at the IRS, recommendations for what is a contract employee, a contractor says how, when, what, and will be done.
Right.
We tell them what end product we want, they do everything else. So just like, right, the construction, we want a new building. They tell us how they're gonna do it, and they tell us the price. I don't believe that's the scenario that we're in. I believe that this EOC specialist is receiving direction from other employees, whether it be Matt, Garfield, Doug, Nick, he's part of this team. So
Well, I don't think so. I think he answers to Matt.
Well, so then if he answers to Matt, though, I think that's right. I
It's
think
no
he's
different than
answering to
Baker
someone,
Tilly, that we hired Baker Tilly.
But
They
Baker
talk
Tilly is
to every
directing us.
department here.
Yeah, but they're directing us. They're saying, now we're gonna do step one, now we're
That's what
gonna do
he's gonna
step
do.
two. But he's gonna do that with guidance from the rest of the team, our other leaders. So I feel that he's not a contract employee.
Huh.
I mean, I welcome any other advice on that.
Are we hiring legal people to give us the advice too?
Yes, when you're hiring professionals like that, legal professionals, architects, those are contract employees. From what
He's not a
I
professional?
understand, I don't know who this person is or anything, but I have a feeling
He's a
that
professional.
we're
That's what I
better
say.
off
He's a
saying
professional.
temporary employee than a contract employee.
Yes, he's a professional, but does he have his own business doing this on the side? As a professional, no. We
There's
know
businesses coming out of this incident that weren't there before.
Yes,
I
but
mean,
it's not
people-
like he has his own consulting firm, right, to handle these sorts of things. We know that this
He
person.
may have it
does
if he knew this
skills.
event was gonna happen.
So, one question I wanna ask, just, and this might help bring some clarity to the conversation. My understanding from talking with Doug, and maybe help me if I'm wrong here, that all costs that we incur from hiring Skylar Dooley to do this purpose, that we will be able to seek like 80% of the cost back or something, or 75% back from FEMA, when this is all said and done.
Under a disaster declaration, yeah, we're gonna be able to submit for a number of our costs back.
Okay. So, I mean, there's that too.
The only thing I can say is I'm trying to put together the
No,
best team possible we can
I
to serve
understand.
the residents here in Potawatomi County. And once we and adding these two gentlemen into my team and then bringing Skylar on, you have seen a total shift in what has been able to go with the connections that we have along with.
These
our
two
national
were already on
program-
the payroll.
with our
So
national
this one
program
is not on the payroll. So
Correct.
now, we're gonna put him on the payroll, so then he becomes an employee. Which is a total different process
Well, I don't know
than
if that's
we
true,
know.
because temporary employee is different than, right? 'Cause
It's a little
it'd be like a
different.
seasonal type employee.
But we still didn't do any kind of notice or anything like that. That's why I think he's a specialist, and he's consulting us on what he specializes in. And I don't see where the IRS is gonna have a problem with that whatsoever.
I do.
I'm
Okay, well.
concerned. I'm concerned.
You know,
I think that, you're right, Scott, there wasn't notices made, but we give Matt direction, I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago that, to hire people if he needed them.
right.
And so with that, I think that, in order to, provide the public health assistance that we need to do for our residents, and we trust Matt enough, I think it's the right thing to do, and I don't believe that it would be a contract employee, because they didn't provide a list of services that they're gonna give to us for a certain fee.
Well, we didn't ask him for one.
He's getting direction from Matt and probably some from Garfield and Doug as well. So with that, Chairman Schultz, I'll make a motion to approve Public Health Department's hiring of William Skylar Dooley as a temporary EOC specialist.
Okay.
Effective March 26th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I didn't put the hour, the rate.
It's $25 an
Yeah.
hour is in the
Yeah.
motion, right?
So what are we hourly doing? Is it a 40-hour deal, or is it as needed, or what are we doing?
Well,
He's cause these other guys are salary.
there's not much, I can't say that there's much structure. I mean, it's supposed to be open from 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock every night. So far, it has not necessarily been staffed.
So is he punching the clock, or what's he doing?
He's checking in with us.
Okay, so is it 8 hours, or what do we,
I think it depends on the need, and that could change day to day, week to week, depending on how this thing unfolds.
so how's that getting reported?
It's getting recorded in ESS, just as though it would be, like how I record my time, how Garfield records his time.
So as of today, or from yesterday, from the 26th till today, what's the hours?
I don't know how many hours he's clocked so far. And he hasn't been put in ESS because Jenna wanted to wait until today
Okay,
before it's activated. So he needs to be activated in ESS immediately today to get his hours in so he can get paid on Friday, this Friday. And Jenna's working on payroll now, so she didn't want to add him until you voted today.
But each morning he has come up to the service building at 7 o'clock to check in with Matt and I, and then before he left, every day he check in, say, hey, is there anything else before I leave? So there is a tracking method of his time since he's been here. So.
Yeah, and just to clarify things, obviously we're being recorded right now, and I want the public to understand that there's zero question by any board member on the qualifications of Skylar Dooley. That is not in question at all. We all believe that he's
doing a nice job.
I mean, he's probably, if anything, probably one of the most qualified to do that job than most anyone that's even there. So I think for the sake of that discussion, I want to make that clear, because I know we have some confusion on how he's hired and all that, and that's not to question Skylar Dooley's capability whatsoever. So.
I'll call for the question, Chairman Schultz.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have John Rasmussen, engineer. Discussion decision to approve contract award to Western Engineering Company for project STGB SWAP CO 78201 FG-78 and to sign resolution 39/2020 awarding said contract. John, okay, second? Any discussion?
This is L66, right, John?
Yes, South amended.
What's the proposed start date? Wasn't that the first part of April?
They gave him a start date of June 22nd. I hope they want to come in early.
And then the end would be what? You said June 22nd, correct?
Yeah, I think this will probably run into Thanksgiving probably.
So, November then?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the early date, June, or late date, June 2nd?
It's just a start, yeah, it's a late start date, so.
So
Can't charge them damages until after that.
after June, but they could come in if they
They
wanted,
can come in anytime now.
before that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the late date. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call?
Chairman Schultz?
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman?
Aye.
Roby?
Aye.
Mel?
Aye.
Okay, next item is to reject bids for projects for secondary road bridge replacement for project L 2020 WS 2022-78.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
John, what's your plans on that?
I talked to the contractor. The reason I got a high bid is I didn't find the dirt for them and they didn't have a source. So I'm gonna work with them to find a source and work with the county, I guess, to find a source and bring it back.
And then rebid it.
Rebid it. It might actually come in under the bid threshold, so I don't know. We'll be back, under 93,000. I don't
Well,
need a bid, but
did you want to buy dirt? Selling it pretty cheap up there off of Old Lincoln Highway.
Is that where the bridge is?
No, that's where all the dirt's leaving, headed for to the river.
I can't wait for them to be done actually, so.
Well, I bet, but I can't wait, rather have dry interstate than a wet one, so.
So if you provide, if we find the dirt for them, we can adjust their bid and approve it?
Their bid was almost $60,000 high just based
Right.
on the dirt, so if you fix the dirt out of it, they
I know
come closer
three
to our
dirt people are
estimates.
begging for deals right now.
Yeah, he's giving it away.
Is there a,
Um,
that would release you from the bid
Little
requirement?
chicken farm friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he moving? Is he moving dirt?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. For, and
You better watch it. There was some bones in there.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have Jana Limerick, Director of Human Resources, update discussion or decision on Family First Corona Response Act.
Okay, so starting tomorrow, and this is federal guidelines sent down from President Trump. So we have a few decisions to make about this, but most of it we have to do. And so what this is saying is that any employee who has been diagnosed is recommended to quarantine from a physician. We are to pay them 80 hours of, now they're calling it sick time, but that doesn't come out of their sick bank. So from our purposes, it's really kind of like admin leave, we're just paying you, right? So it's 80 hours.
So can she track that in a separate bucket?
Yes, Jenna and I have been talking about how we're going to track this. Now, there are some payroll tax credits, but we don't believe that we qualify. Being county government, we don't think that we get those payroll tax credits.
I don't think we are either.
Yeah,
but-
sadly, we don't. Other businesses would get to take 100% of this for their payroll tax credits, but we don't think so. We're hoping to have some final guidance on that today or tomorrow. But Jenna and I have been talking about how do we track this. Could this be something that we can claim, from FEMA later? We just don't know yet.
What's
So
the date that this runs through?
December.
Through December? That's what you
December.
said?
Yep, December of 2020. So what this is today is 80 hours. Employee would receive 100% of their pay to care for themselves. If an employee is caring for a family member who's been diagnosed, and or lack of daycare, they need to stay home because of lack of daycare, these federal guidelines say we pay them 2/3 of their pay. We can choose to pay them 100% if we want to. There are also maximums that we can forego, and we can pay 100% if we want to. So going back to the one where we pay 100% if the employee themselves are ill, it's a maximum of $511 per day. So if someone would make more than that, we could choose to stop it at 511, or we could choose to say, we're just gonna pay you. We're just gonna pay you. Same with if it goes to they're caring for a loved one or caring for a child that doesn't have daycare, it's a maximum of $200 a day. So the decision that we need today is, do we want to go by those maximums, or do we just say, we're just gonna pay you your regular rate?
We don't have hardly anybody in the 511 per day.
Let's see. so
$63.
$63 an hour? Yeah, there's not gonna be very many people that are gonna fall into that. The 200, I think the 2/3 is where we're gonna see, more people coming to that. Sorry, I don't have a calculator right now.
That's okay. But you'd have to go back and figure what's the average. So that one's a whole different animal.
Well, so for part-time employees are eligible for this, and that is where that comes into an average. What would they normally have been paid, what's their average, and then we calculate all of that. So what we'd have to work with for payroll, if we're saying yes on the 2/3, we have to take a look at their hourly rate, what is the 2/3, so on and so forth. So we're gonna have a lot of spreadsheets that we're gonna use to be tracking this.
How many part-time people we sitting on?
I'm sorry, I don't know how many part-time people, we don't have that many part-time employees. Especially because our seasonal part-time employees have not yet started in conservation. They're hiring for them now. But if you're a part-time employees who don't normally qualify for benefits do qualify for this.
That would be probably the security downstairs, the only ones I can come up with.
That's what I'm,
Yeah, your other ones would be in conservation. And again, there aren't very many right now, and they haven't yet started. What
We
we will usually, I mean, their
Kinda
bird crew is going.
suspend that deal,
Suspend what?
the conservation part-times for the time being.
Yeah, I don't know what Mark's plan is on that. I know Liz was gonna be reaching out to him about how is he wanting to move forward with all the hiring of these part-time. I do think a lot of that actually has been put on hold, to hire, but, you know, I mean, I know that their services are
Are
limited.
100% of them down there part-time then, the ones down below here, are they?
Your front entry security?
Yeah, is that, they're all under what, the 28 hours or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
So the
But
best
they
thing,
would qualify.
you're saying that what would be best for the employees would be for us just to maintain their salary if this all happens, or whatever their wages are.
Correct.
And you said that's for 80 hours,
Yes.
2 weeks, and then it falls off, then it's gone.
And then it's
Then
gone.
it's on PTO or other stuff, right?
Exactly right. Now, in 2 weeks, who knows what the president's going to decide, so things could absolutely change, but right now what we have is this 80 hours. If.
That was effective what date, Jenna?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
It
Wow,
starts
April
tomorrow.
Fools, huh?
Right.
So I guess no matter what, this is, I mean, even though I want the public health element on this too, because if there's an employee saying that they're quarantined or whatever, I want to make sure that they're going through our public health office because that's where your real verification is going to happen.
And so this does help with that. You know, before when we met a couple weeks
Can
ago.
we do that?
We are tracking everybody that, we are allowed to, and we are tracking everybody that we are monitoring.
I understand that, but an employee, does his doctor have to talk to you or?
That's what the executive order says. You have to have a physician's note.
So, yeah, so this does help with that and does require
Okay.
documentation. We even can ask them to get documentation from their school saying it's closed. Now, we know.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
it's supposed to
yeah.
close. But this does help say, yes, you have to provide some sort of documentation. So I've created a leave form as well so that we can track this. This has to be completed. We have to have all the necessary documents. In conjunction with this is some additional COVID-related FMLA. Now, again, FMLA does not pay you. It just protects your job. This FMLA is for these exact same reasons and now also covers if you don't have childcare.
So the FMLA now covers part-timers too? Is that, did I understand you say that?
Mm-hmm.
So are we to offer them health insurance now?
No, FMLA just protects your job.
Okay,
Allows you to be
but
on,
I thought
has
you
nothing to do
said,
with health
I thought,
insurance.
it has done it, no, I thought
Nothing.
you said the part-timers could be on the health insurance now.
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Nope,
Okay.
definitely not. Yeah,
Okay.
that does not expand that. But this FMLA is in conjunction with FMLA already. So if I had a baby and I took 6 weeks off already, and now I want to be covered under FMLA because I can't send this baby to daycare, I only have 6 weeks because you only get 12. So it's in conjunction. It's not and, it's or, it's with. So Audrey and I have already spoken. She's already tracking everything. We were hoping the Department of Labor would come down with specific FMLA COVID forms. They have not, so we're gonna have to create those on our own, which it's done.
But you just stated earlier, subject to change.
Well, this is what's in guideline, this is for today.
Right.
This is what comes down starting tomorrow. This could absolutely change, and
Okay.
then we'll have to reconvene.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I think we just keep paying our
Yeah,
employees.
yeah, whatever's, what's the, I guess, we need to get the numbers because there's some other numbers going the wrong way, but from a simplistic standpoint, can they code it or asterisk it so that we are tracking it?
Yes.
And for them to run and still do their job?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little complicated because not everyone uses the same payroll system. Some are on paper, some are, so, but yes, there is a way to track it so that we know that. The one caveat to this, and again, this is provided by federal guidelines, so I think this helps us as well. This is not for someone who is worried about coming into work, right? We talked about this 2 weeks ago. So employees who are not required or advised to be quarantined and choose to self-isolate, this does not cover them. So they would need to use vacation time.
They don't have a doctor's excuse.
Right.
So that's,
Right, they're choosing to self-isolate.
even though they don't wanna go get a doctor's excuse, they're out.
I got a question. What if, somebody needs to travel out of state or to Des Moines and comes back? Do we have any guidelines on requiring them to quarantine?
Well, that is, that's a separate issue, but yeah, it's sort of
Right.
related. So the governor's guidelines, and I had sent an email about this, are that any travel outside of Iowa, you should be quarantined for 14 days. Inside of Iowa so far, and again, this can change day by day, but so far inside of Iowa is fine, right? Because we know a lot
But
of
you didn't
cases-
respond to me when I sent the message back.
That your message was, can you remind me?
You
what it
came
was?
from Omaha, that's outside
Oh.
the state.
Yes, so there's no, right, I did some research on that, what do we do about those employees who are coming in from Omaha? There's no guidance on that, other than the other counties are saying they're letting their people come in.
I think we just treat it like they're part of our.
And Garfield came from over there,
Every day.
and Leanne came from over. No, and if anything happens, it's,
So if somebody does.
you guys broke the rule.
Leave the state, come back and quarantines for 2 weeks, are they paid or is that their vacation?
Well, I think that might be something that we need to talk about, that might be a separate agenda item, I'm not sure Leanne
Right.
can weigh in on that. Because again, the governor's saying, if you travel outside of state, you should be quarantined for 14 days. We have had some employees who have traveled outside of state, and again, we can't tell them they can't travel outside of state, right? We don't have a shelter in place. So they can travel outside of state, it's their honor system to tell us that they're traveling outside of state. We have had some situations where employees have traveled outside of state, and it right now, depending on department, if it's just,
It's
So
more of
here,
a,
I'm just gonna squash all this right now.
Okay,
I have
okay.
better trust in our employees that they're not gonna be stupid and do stupid things if they get this.
Okay.
And if they do, they probably shouldn't be an employee in this county anyway. So I think we just treat Omaha, people that live in this area, like they're part of here, and we just move forward. Pay people the salary that they earn on a regular basis, so we don't have to sit there and mess with trying to figure out 2/3 of their pay, all that crap. Because by the end of it, it's gonna be a pain in the neck to track. I think we just keep rolling like normal, pay them their pay, we move on. We could talk this all day long.
Until the next rules come down. But I would agree, I think we try to keep it as
Okay.
simple as we can, and still follow the rules,
Okay, very good. So
even
then
though you're coming across.
in the document you have there, Justin, there should be a line down there for you to sign, and I had already not included or excluded the maximums, because I was hoping that's the way
Amended
the
leave
board was
policy, I'll make that motion to approve the county's amended leave policy during the COVID-19 emergency.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just one more comment. Melvin, you made the comment about somebody going to Des Moines.
right,
Why would anybody from Potawatomi County need to go to Des Moines?
I don't know.
It's closed down.
Okay, I don't know, unless they had to go visit their brother or go to a wedding or funeral, I don't know.
Some of our legislators might be going up there. Well,
If our points were going up, so we'd be going to find a conference or something, and all those are shut
Yeah.
down, so it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, there should be no employee-related travel going on.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a closed session. So we need to get a motion to go into closed session pursuant.
move.
Second.
Okay, and that's Iowa Code Section 21.5, 1J.